up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is the Fandom Frequency Network, where we get into the whole entire multiverse of pop culture, baby. So if you want to get more of that fandom dopeness in your feed, share it with your social medias. If you want to get all the latest and greatest news in pop culture and just nerd out with some positive, like-minded geeks, make sure you go ahead and click the subscribe below the video and all of that. It helps the show out immensely. But with no further ado, let's get right into this main topic, y'all. You seen the thumbnail, you know the deal. We're talking about one of Hulu/FX's latest series, and I actually binged it after all the episodes came out week to week. I'm talking about season 1 of The Bear. Yep, that's right, The Bear, not Cocaine Bear. That's a whole different beast right there, pun intended. But this is all about Jeremy Allen White's new series, man. He's leading the charge in this one, doing his thing. And I got to say, just getting right into it, you know, all killer, no filler. I absolutely love this series, man. This show is phenomenal. Now, for those that aren't familiar with Jeremy Allen White and his previous work, he was in the long-standing, I don't know if sitcom's the right word, but long-standing family dramedy Shameless that had, you know, all the great actors, you know, Emmy Rossum, you know what I mean, and all these other people, Cameron Monaghan, and the list goes on and on. That's where he got his start as Lip, the oldest brother in the big family. And I always loved his performance in that show, and I always thought he had such an amazing amount of talent. And I knew at some point he was going to finally get his thing and get his big break and get his leading show or movie or whatever. And he does more TV work than movies, but he definitely does some films as well, because he actually did The Rental that was directed by what the hell is Dave Franco? There you go. Dave Franco, also starring Dan Stevens and Allison Brie, and I forgot the name of the chick that's with Jeremy Allen White's character. But yeah, that's another great thriller right there. And for all you horror fans, thriller fans, I recommend that one as well. And Jeremy Allen White gives a great performance in it as well, but it's just a good movie in and of itself. But I was always rooting for him and wanted to see what else he was going to be working on. And I saw the preview for it on Hulu for the series The Bear, I think when it first premiered. And I was like, I don't know what this is about. Looks like something about cooking. Okay, that's whatever. I'm not a big foodie. You know what I'm saying? I can cook a little bit, but I'm not necessarily all into the culinary world, if you will. That's the kind of fandom I don't share myself. But I heard about this series, and as it kept going on week to week, people just kept raving about it, and I kept seeing it come up on podcasts and YouTube channels and best of the year list coming up here for 2022 and shit like that. So best TV shows of the year. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to sit down. They're half-hour episodes, you know, at most maybe 45, 48 minutes. So I'm going to sit down. I'm going to check out a few episodes, and I'm going to see if I want to binge this over the week, you know, in the evening before I knock out after I get home from work. You know what I mean? And I watched the first 3 episodes, and I couldn't stop. Watched the next 3. Watched 3 more episodes after that. I watched 6 episodes almost in a day. But I fell asleep, woke up, and then I watched the 6th episode the next day, and then I did some other stuff. So I watched 6 episodes in 2 days, man. And I absolutely fell in love with the series from right then, and getting more into the series itself, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, it's about Jeremy Allen White's character, Carmi, and he actually inherits an Italian restaurant from his brother Mikey, played by the fabulous fucking John Bernthal right there, Punisher up in the house right here. And that was a fun little cameo and small supporting role right there. Yeah, yeah, and then you have, so Jeremy Allen White's character, he used to be a chef. He actually went to culinary school to do all that stuff, and actually was one of the main chefs at one of the best restaurants in the world over there in NYC. But the chef that he worked under, like the main chef, I believe he was sous chef, and the guy was the head chef. He was an asshole, told him that he deserved to die. He didn't deserve, or he should just go and die. He didn't deserve to be there, talking mad shit, belittling him at any turn that he could. And he decided to get out of that realm because it started causing him to have panic attacks, and his anxiety just went through the roof. And that was another thing I really appreciated with this series, as someone that does struggle and deal with anxiety itself, you know what I mean, and dealing with that in the workforce and whatnot, and really that coming in my late teens, early adulthood and whatnot, you know, I could really relate to it. And I like how they're addressing some of that mental health stuff without getting preachy, without getting political or anything like that. But I like how they address that with the character and show it more organically as it really is. You know what I'm saying? It's not like some crazy over-the-top thing that someone's like flipping and losing their shit. You know, a panic attack can happen almost silently within somebody when they don't say anything out loud. You know what I mean? I've had a couple panic attacks where I didn't tell nobody else around me I was just going through some shit. So that's definitely how it works, and I like the way they portray that in here. And then he takes over the restaurant. Now he has to work with the new staff, and everyone on the staff does not like the changes he's trying to implement into creating a chain of command and making sure that it's more organized and everything like that, and trying to bring in more business and get the place more profitable because they're in debt. They owe people money and all this stuff, and there's a lot of things that were going on, and his brother Mikey just didn't seem to run things well, and it just got really, really sloppy as the time went on. And now with Carmi coming in to take over and everything, now he's got to try to bring everybody together and try to find his own path in his passion, his profession, and figure out a way to make it work, because inside of himself emotionally he just wanted to make this work. And that was the one thing that really hooked me from the beginning of the series, seeing somebody that's a little bit of the underdog, seeing somebody that's trying to pull something from nothing and make it into something. I always dig those kind of stories, so that definitely plays well here. And as we get introduced to the rest of the gang that worked at the restaurant, phenomenal actors. Some I was familiar with, a few others I wasn't. One being Ibn Mas Barak. I just seen him over there as Skeen, the lowlife dude over there in Andor season 1. If you haven't watched that, we got all 12 of those episodes. We did recap/reviews for that. Just make sure you hop on over on the channel and check that out when you get a chance after this video is done. But yeah, man. And then you got Sydney Adamu, played by Ayo Edebri. Probably butchered that. And then you got Carmi and Mikey's sister, Natalie Sugar, who is also played by Abby Elliott. You got Matthew Matheson, who I see popping up in here in different shows as like the comedic relief kind of. Reminds me a lot of Stingray and Cobra Kai. So, liked him. And then you got Lionel Boyce playing the character of Marcus, and he's the guy that gets into all the pastries and gets into all that once Carmi starts telling him about some of that stuff, and he looks through some of his books and everything, his culinary books. He gets all into making pastries and wants to bring cakes into the menu and all that stuff. And he's a little bit naive, you know what I'm saying? He's not necessarily the sharpest tool in the shed, but I really liked his character and thought he was just a nice guy, and anyone would be lucky to have him as your buddy, you know what I mean? So, love that character. And then you got Tina, played by Lisa Conion Zayas. I think I might have got that right. And she's actually a little bit more of a stage actress, but she does some TV and movies as well. So it was cool to see that popping off there as well. And yeah, and you got Oliver Platt up in here as the Uncle Jimmy. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. And oh yeah, that NYC chef was played by Joel McHale. Actually, I'm looking at the cast list right here. I didn't even realize that when I was watching. So good work, sir. Good work. And yeah, so you got this all going on, and everyone's pushing back on what Carmi's trying to do. And it's just that comedy with everyone being kind of like fucking around at work and everything like that. And the comedy and the drama work so well hand in hand in this series, man. It's absolutely phenomenal, I tell you, man. It's great stuff. And I apologize, guys. My voice is a little raspy. I'm still getting over a flu here. But, you know, trying to keep it rolling, baby. We're trying to get to the bag over here. We're trying to keep this content rolling. But yeah. And you got Sydney, who also has culinary school experience and has worked at a variety of different restaurants and has been in that fine dining atmosphere and also did some catering, and she wants nothing to do with that shit. She wants to come to this restaurant and help Carmi out and help build up the business and help make things even more prosperous for them, and also just be a part of something special and kind of help build something from the ground up a little bit and be able to put her stamp and her creative license into things and actually get to be a part of the decisions made at the restaurant and bring her own expertise to it. So I definitely dug that with her character. She's definitely impatient. She could definitely be a little bit pushy, but I definitely like the Sydney character and like the way that she pushed and challenged Carmi and really called him out on his bullshit every now and again when he would kind of flip out on her. But at the same time, you could see some of her own faults and things that may have gotten away for her professionally at these other places. So I like that whole back and forth with Sydney and Carmi, and I just love the name Sydney. You know the reason why. And I just loved all of that. And just the chemistry with all the actors is so spot on, man. Especially with Jeremy Allen White and Ibn Mas Bachrach. They're so good as like cousins in this thing. And the guy, I don't know exactly what his real accent is, but he nails the Chicago accent when I'm talking about Ibn Mas Bachrach's character of Richie, as they call him, his older cousin there. And I got to tell you, Richie was a character that I definitely did not like at first. He was such an asshole. But as the series progresses, as you see a little bit more peeling those layers of the onion back, you do get to see he is a good guy. He does have a good heart deep down, but he's definitely abrasive and can be quite obnoxious and is a little bit of a dick. But I like characters like that can be an asshole, but they still have qualities about them that are very likable and are very redeemable, because I just hate characters that are just all down unlikable unless they're trying to make them the antagonist. It gets hard to get into characters that are like that. And I think that's one thing they did. That's one pitfall they definitely avoided with this show. And I really, really love that. And yeah. And when it comes to the overall direction and the overall like writing and editing and all that stuff, very unique and very creative and very fresh, man. I want to give a shout out to the creator, Christopher Storer. And when he actually directed some of the episodes, the first one and some of the 2 or 3 other ones, I love his style. And he brought this very anxious, like tense vibe to the way he was editing and shooting things. And I thought he did such a great job at pulling all of this together. And I had never heard of this guy, honestly. I never really heard of his previous work. I'm looking on IMDb real quick just to see if there's anything else he might have done recently I would be familiar with. Let's see. Let me see. What's he done as a director? Okay, he did a show called Dickinson. I haven't seen that. Rami, I haven't seen that. Little Voice, never heard of it. So I'm not familiar with any of the stuff that he has directed, other than The Bear itself, obviously. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not familiar with anything. Let's see what he's done as a writer. Okay, yeah, I'm not familiar with any of his work, so there you go. But I'm going to be looking out for anything else this guy is a part of, because he is definitely a filmmaker I think is going to be sticking around for a while, because he has a nice, unique voice to something that's very familiar. So that's always cool to see. Just new, new filmmakers and new creators getting to get their stuff out there. And yeah, and like I stated up top, big Jeremy Allen White fan, and he does such a phenomenal job in this show. His acting even eclipses his performance as Lip in Shameless, and that's some of his best work, probably still to this day of his entire career so far. But the work he does in The Bear damn near rivals that, and sometimes surpasses it. Like the dramatic points in the places that he has to hit as an actor between being comedic and being funny and being serious and being heartbroken and going through all this stuff, going through grief, going through trauma, and dealing with all these different things that he's dealing with. He just does it so convincingly, and you can't help but like the guy, even though you can see some of his faults, and even though he does blow up on people and kind of bottles things in until it explodes. You definitely are rooting for the character of Carmi, you know what I mean? And I always thought it was kind of interesting that his name is Carmen. That's his full name, or like his real name. Which I'm not aware if that's like an Italian thing that dudes are named Carmen. Y'all let me know in the comments if I'm just uncultured over here, but I did find that interesting. But that was just more of a side note. Not a problem I have with the show. Just a little bit of a side note. But yeah, man, and when it comes to all 6, was it 8 episodes? Jeez Louise, man. My brain is fried, man. Working damn near 50 hours this week, and I'm getting over the flu. Yeah, it's been an interesting week, to say the least. There's 9 episodes, my bad, or 8 episodes, guys, my bad. But yeah, out of the 8 episodes, I did think that it was perfectly paced the whole time. It was just such an easy breezy show to get through. And once you started getting into it, you just couldn't stop, because they would either leave it on a cliffhanger or leave some kind of information lingering that you just want to see the answers to and see how everything's going to pan out, man. And it was just such a great show. And I just love the dynamic with, like I said, with the actors. Everyone has such great chemistry together, such great character development for most of the characters. And that's probably one of my only negatives of this series. I did think certain characters like Marcus and Tina and other characters could have gotten a little bit more character development. Sydney especially could have got more development and got to know more about her personally outside of the workplace, her family, friends, things of that nature. I do think they kind of left those kind of hanging, but if they do continue to do more seasons of the show, they can explore those characters down the line. So I definitely wanted to make that more of like more of a mixed thing, more of a nitpick kind of thing, like not really like a full-on negative or like an issue I have with the series, but I do think they can kind of punch that up in the next season 2, because I think it is confirmed. I hope they do give more of the characters a little bit more even development and character arcs throughout the season. But Carmi especially has such a great arc throughout the whole thing, and the way that it's revealed that Mikey had been saving up all this money and pulling it from all these different places to leave for Carmi is almost like a lump sum that a lot of people leave, like more wealthy people leave behind for their family members, and the way that they find it in the old spaghetti sauce, in the old spaghetti that he hates making because he doesn't like it. You know what I mean? And it's funny how Carmi finds the biggest gift that his brother could have ever left him, or find like the biggest gift he ever gave him in the last place he ever wanted to look or would look. So I like the way that that was all like a through line that kind of tied everything together, and the whole mystery of what the hell Mikey was up to. Why is everything so disorganized? Like, how the fuck did he even keep the lights on at this point? And it's just crazy to see how everything was going on with that. And I love how they only introduced Mikey in the series, one scene, maybe two at most, with John Bernthal, and he just does such a great job just nailing it in that one scene. And you just feel the vibe and the love that they have for him and the dynamic they all had together as a family. You know what I mean? And y'all already know, if you're not familiar with his work already, John Bernthal is such a charismatic actor, such a great performer, that of course he's going to come in and kill it. And I didn't even know he was in the show, so that was a really, really nice, pleasant surprise. So yeah, man, I gotta say, this is a really, really fun show. I love the characters, I love the vibe, I love the overall filmmaking that goes behind it and the way they put things together. The acting is phenomenal. This is a really, really great show, and I'm going to be looking out for season 2, and hopefully they drop it next year as is rumored online, because I can't wait to see what's in store for the future. But what says you out there that might have seen the show already? I already kind of spoiled some stuff, but let me know, what did you think about this series? Did you think it was great like some people like myself were saying, or do you think it's kind of just whatevers? Do you prefer Shameless over this show? Have you seen Shameless or any other of Jeremy Allen White's roles? Let me know what you think about it down below in those comments below, guys. We just hit 165 subs today as of the recording of this video, so thank you to all you great fans out there. It's been such a great holiday season, and we're going to be getting way more into the holidays. We got the Guardians holiday special right around the corner. We're going to be getting into some straight up Christmas movies. We got some really fun stuff planned for this month, guys, rounding out 2022, and we got some great plans going into the future for 2023. So make sure you click subscribe so you stick around and don't miss any of that dope stuff. But until we see you again, make sure you stay tuned, you don't sleep. Much love. Happy holidays. Peace.